This is the Next Bite of Life podcast, the place to be to hear personal stories from expats, digital nomads, and everybody else taking their next bite of life. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Next Bite of Life podcast. My name is Kem Kem. Today I am speaking with Nicole, and some of you might recall Nicole from an episode a few years ago. Hi Nicole, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How about you? Thanks.
Not, not too bad. It's so nice to have you on again.
It's great to be back.
I know the last time we talked, you had just been okay. Actually, let me take that back one second.
Mhm.
Where are you now? Which country are you in now?
I'm in Oman. Yeah, I'm still working here in the Middle East.
So you're still there.
Yeah.
How long have you been in Oman? How long have you been there now?
Wow, it's kind of crazy when I think about it. It's been 7 years now. I was here for one
Oh, wow.
year. Yeah, I was here for 1 year in 2012. I left actually to go to school. So for 2012 to 2013, I left for a year and then I came back in 2014. So now, if you
Wow.
combine it, 6 years since 2014 and now, the first year here. So 7 years total.
And so now you're a native, of course, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I was like, I'm totally feeling Omani now. I've been here so long.
That's fantastic. Now, just just refresh our memory. Like you left the US
Mhm.
7 years ago, right?
Actually, no, I've been outside of the States for a little over 10 years now. Before coming to Oman, I was in South Korea for 3 years. So, yeah, I've
Oh,
been out of
yes.
the States since 2009. It's crazy because literally we elected Barack Obama. I used to live in Chicago in 2008.
Yeah.
We elected Obama, and then like
Uh-huh.
5 months later, he was in office maybe 3 months, and then I was leaving to go out the country.
You're like, see ya.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
Now,
crazy.
what? Why did you make the decision to leave the US?
Mm.
Obviously, it wasn't about the elections, right?
No,
It
no,
wasn't
no.
who we elected.
No, it wasn't that. Actually, I was, it's crazy because now it just feels like deja vu. Like, we're in the middle of another recession. When I left the States, I
Yes.
was actually laid off from my job back in 2008, the last recession we had 12 years ago. And so I
Yeah.
was, in the market. I was looking for work. I was living in Chicago at that time. And the market was
Mhm.
just horrible. Like I used to work in market research before leaving the country. Now I'm teaching. And, initially when I planned on leaving, I said, oh, I'll go abroad for a year, teach English, come back once the economy gets better. And a decade later, I'm
Mhm.
still gone. I'm just loving it too much.
And now it seems to be almost worse than it was then. You should.
Right? Go figure. That's why I was like, I've lived, this is my second pandemic I'm living through. Like, what is happening? you know?
I know. I
Yeah.
mean, and the sorry part about this is like I feel like it's going to be deja vu all over again. Only now the gap is going to be shorter.
Yeah.
Instead of 10 years, it's going to come around. It's like six. That's just the way it feels like to me.
That is a valid point. Yeah, it's I don't know what's happening right now. It's a crazy time, to be out of
Yeah.
states and like feeling from the outside, looking back in, seeing what's happening now with the election, as opposed to when I was there when Obama got elected. I'm like, well, this is an interesting time we're living in.
I know. I know,
um,
like, back in 2008,
mhm,
I mean, it seemed like everybody I knew had lost something, including me,
yeah.
so I had started thinking about leaving at that same time too, so
Hmm.
you did it pretty quickly. Was it something like was instantaneous, or did you plan it out and go, "You know what? I've lost everything. I've lost my job. Now I need
Hmm.
to go." Did you go first and then think about it later, or did you think about it and then go?
Honestly, I went and then thought about it. Like it happened. No, because honestly, when I think back on it, it was like it happened so quickly. Like like you said, a lot of people lost things. Back then, I had just lost my job. I still used to have a condo when I was in Chicago. Like I just ended up renting it out for a little bit. Then I ended up leaving the
Yeah.
condo after I left. I was in Korea. Like so it was a bunch of stuff going on. Like I just figured I'll leave for a year and come back. But things just kept accumulating. I was just like, oh, I'm really not in a rush to get back to that. You know what I mean? To get back
Yeah.
to bad credit score because I lost my condo and all these getting back into the job market.
Exactly.
Getting back into the job market when I'm having too much
Now
fun over here in Korea. So yeah, so certain things just kind of snowballed when it came to the idea of going back to the States. I was like, no, that's not it. I like it over here better.
exactly.
Yeah.
Now now you were teaching in Korea. Did you have a background in teaching or you just went right into it?
Yeah, it's funny. I did not have any experience teaching prior to going to Korea. Because my undergrad
Wow.
degree was in communications. Like I went to University of Michigan,
Uh-huh.
and I worked in market research. I did sales, but I never had been in education until after I left. Like that was a little over 10 years ago, so the requirements were different. It was a little more lax. Like all you really needed at that time was a
Yeah.
bachelor's in order to teach English, as long as you were from a
Wow.
native speaking country. But times have changed; it's more
Uh-huh.
competitive. So now they want you to have
Of
more
course.
certifications, certificates, TESOLs, and TEFLs. But yeah, I didn't get those documents until after I actually went to Korea. So I was in the process of like teaching, doing
Wow.
orientation, and doing a class at the same time. So now it's led to opportunities to be in Oman and different places. But yeah, I did not picture this
That's
life for
amazing.
myself like 15 years ago. I would have never guessed that I'd be traveling the world.
It's still there, right? That
Yeah,
you've done it and still
seriously.
That's what I try to tell people. I'm like, "If you have this dream, there are ways of making it happen. Even now, if even though it's still competitive, you could still do it." And
Absolutely.
somebody like you who did without knowing anything about teaching, you managed to do it. And it may be a little harder, but if you think about it,
Mhm.
you could still make some ways to make it happen.
Absolutely, absolutely agree. I'm all about that. Just go for it.
Now, do you
Uh,
enjoy teaching still?
yeah, I do. It's like it's crazy because I think about it. How long I've been out of college and my job experiences. I was like, who'd have thought that I would be teaching English abroad for a decade? Like this was going to be what was going to be the
Yeah.
majority of my working experience as an
Yeah.
English teacher. I never would have guessed it, but now that I think
Yeah.
about it, like my personality, I enjoy, every day is different. It's not the same. Like, when I left market research, I got bored with it. Honestly, it was like the monotony of it. So it's like, yeah, this is actually a better fit for me. Who knew? So yeah, yeah. But I'm having a blast.
So what's a typical like school day in Oman? Do they run from Monday through Friday? Do they run Monday through Saturday?
Mm.
Or is it just like the US, like 9 to 3, or is it a little bit different?
It's a little bit different actually. Since it is a Muslim country, like, today is it's
Mhm.
Thursday my time, and it's the weekend now where we're starting going into the weekend. So my work week is actually from Sunday through Thursday. And our weekends are Friday,
Ah,
Saturday here. Yeah, because it's a
that's
Muslim country. We
Saturday.
don't, they don't have a
Of course.
holiday on Sunday. So our work week starts on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, that's my typical work week, Sunday through Thursday. And as far as hours is concerned, usually between 8 and 2, 8 to 3, like technically 8 to 3, but you know, for us,
So it still
our
allows you to have a life.
that part exactly. I tell people I'm like an English teacher by day, travel blogger, and writer by night, so I still have time to, do my other, passions.
You're all
Oh,
about the side hustle. That's great.
oh,
You're gonna make hay while the sun shines, right?
I know that's right. Exactly, exactly. If I want to retire abroad and make these things happen, my goals, like I gotta,
Oh,
I need a
I
couple
am
of,
so glad you
yeah,
mentioned
a
that
couple
because
pots.
I am I am so going to ask you because I
Mhm,
know like you have dreams of actually retiring in a foreign country, not going
mhm.
back to the US. What
Yeah.
are the countries you've been thinking about?
Ooh, good question. The times are crazy right now because, like, for the longest time, I've been saying Portugal, Portugal, Portugal. Like, that's been the top of my list. And now, like, with
Uh-huh.
so many things happening, like, immigration and looking at
Yeah.
refugee situation. I'm like, oh, okay, Portugal's still up there, but maybe I should look at a few other places.
Yeah.
Just but I'm a firm believer of like just say like now like relishing like if the right opportunity presents itself, I'm interested to research and look into it. But I would say if not Portugal, like definitely Africa. I've been considering.
Nice. Which countries in Africa?
Yeah, I'm Ghana in particular. Like I when I visited there, I loved Ghana, and I think that
Yeah.
they've really been adamant about trying to get African Americans to come home. So I'm seeing people going there and
Yeah.
buying, land and things like that and building. So I'm like, maybe I should. So Ghana's high on my list. The South Africa is still a dream. Like
Yeah.
that, if I could say my top three, it would definitely be Portugal, Ghana, and South Africa. Just after spending some time in Cape Town, that would be amazing to be able to go back to South Africa. So yeah, those are the three right now. Top of my
Yeah,
list.
that sounds nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, but those are three very good countries.
Mhm.
I know, like Portugal, I absolutely love, and between Spain and Portugal, for me, it's like one or the other.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just a matter of like, okay, I can maybe train my gray cells into like learning Spanish faster than
Mm.
Portuguese. That was my thing.
That's a good
And
point.
then like South Africa, like when we visited Johannesburg, I absolutely loved it.
Mhm.
And I said, "Oh, I wouldn't mind living here,"
Mhm. Mhm.
and Ghana.
Yeah.
A friend of mine moved there. Like he's Nigerian. He lives there,
Mhm.
and he was just like, "I just love it. We have light 24 hours a day. All the things that we don't have in Nigeria."
Yeah.
And he absolutely loved it.
Hmm.
But then he got kicked out because Nigeria and Ghana, they're not really.
Right. Exactly.
Because just like everywhere, like my
Yeah.
my countrymen will go somewhere and like ruin it for everybody else. So
I know.
some people, so at some point they started throwing out the Nigerians. So
Mm,
he
mm,
was like, "Oh, forget it. I'll just go back home."
mm.
So
Okay.
those three countries are just fantastic. So I can understand why you would want
Yeah.
to go to one of those.
Interesting.
Now, I know like real estate,
Mhm.
for you was a sour experience back in 2008,
Yeah.
but would you consider doing that? Yeah.
Yeah, and
I don't even have to ask. You will totally consider it.
absolutely. That's the crazy part. It's like, everybody is like, "Well, you've been gone for so long." Like people they really pretty much stopped asking me if I'm coming back to the States. Like they're like, "You're not. Like you're living it up abroad." Like they literally are like, "I wouldn't if I were you." So I know you don't plan on it. So it's just like, I don't see that whole like
Yeah.
white picket fence dream, the American dream. I don't see it there. Like my dream is like, yeah, I want to have my little hostel. I want to buy some property, somewhere else. Like it's crazy because now it's like after living abroad for so long and traveling the world, it's like part of me was just like, oh, in a dream where I could be a digital nomad and just like live in Thailand or live in Bali. But
Yeah.
now the older I'm getting, I'm just like,
Yeah.
no, really, I do want to like invest and have some real estate somewhere and just be able to have roots. Still be able to travel. Obviously, I love it, but really
Yeah.
have roots
Yeah.
somewhere.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Have a base and then
exactly,
yeah, and travel
exactly.
out.
That part, right? A base somewhere. So that's the goal. That's the goal.
That
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
Now, how has it been? Like, what's the dating life in Oman like?
Ah, that's always a fun question
Oh, I like that long pause in between.
'cause I have to think about it,
That says a lot.
It's been a lot, I would say that. It's I can't say it hasn't been without its challenges, So far now the things are back on track when it comes to dating. Like, I I'm outgoing. Like I go to network prior to COVID. I was able to get out and about, like go to networking events and meet people. We have the apps. I did the apps thing and gave
Yeah.
up on the apps thing. And I've I've had different experiences when it comes to dating, but now like I have a friend, I should say, and he's African, and we're on the same page. So it's just like, okay, it's nice. This is more like it. Like I've living abroad and dating, like there's always challenges when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Being an American abroad, you're just like, oh, are you in it for the right reasons? And then cultural differences. Living in the Middle East, I had my experience dating a local
Yeah.
before, like an African Omani, and that didn't end very well. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, lesson
No?
learn, live and learn. Like, let me stick to my fellow expats. So now things
Let me
are good.
stick to what I know.
Exactly, things are going well now. And, it was a bumpy ride at the beginning.
Oh, that's good. Now, is it really? I mean, you're in a Muslim country, right? And so
Mhm.
there's no drinking. How do you handle that? I mean, like,
Mm.
I know, like in Dubai, for
Yeah.
instance, you can have your card, you can still get alcohol.
Yeah,
Is it the same there too?
it is actually. It's funny because I literally was just talking to a coworker the other day. He was like, "Nicole, why don't you have an alcohol license?" Like, I was like, We do. It's the same thing as Dubai. Like here in Oman, you can get a liquor license and have a monthly
Mm,
allowance. The thing about it was, I never felt the need to have a
okay.
license because I travel so much. So usually when I travel, I leave
Yeah.
the country, I come back in, I stop at duty free, I get a couple bottles, and I've always had a collection.
Uh,
So it was always, and then also, at the
exactly.
hotels, you can always go have a drink at the bar at the hotels as an expat. Like, they don't ask any questions. Like,
Hmm.
okay, you're not Muslim, you're fine. So, it never was an issue until now COVID. Lo and behold, haven't left the country since January, and I'm like, oh, a liquor license will come in handy right now.
You're dry,
Yeah,
literally.
it's right. But thank goodness.
You're dry in a dry
That
country.
part. But thank goodness for friends. I literally just had a girlfriend. She had a little bit of credit left, and she gave me a little bottle of vodka just like literally 2 days ago. She dropped it off to me. I was like, bless your heart. You
Oh,
know.
that's
So yeah.
great.
So thank goodness I have awesome friends to look out for you, girl, because
Yeah.
I definitely would have ran out a long time ago if it weren't for friends hooking me up here and there. I was like, now that license, I probably could have took the time to get the paperwork done. But it never was an issue prior to COVID. So go figure, right? Right.
Oh, that yeah, it figures like, you're just like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Well, I'm glad you were able to get your fix of
Yeah,
alcohol.
yes, absolutely.
Now, like you said, COVID has affected so many things.
Mhm.
I know, like, you had been planning on going, you have plans for the summertime. You were going back home,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Tell us about that.
Oh, alhamdulillah. Well, yeah, the travel plans that I did, well, the thing about it was I hadn't even bought my flight yet. Usually, halfway through the semester, around the time that COVID hit
Mhm.
was like literally the time I started researching, looking up flights to go home, like around, it's around March. Usually I buy my ticket in like April, a couple
Mhm.
months prior, the vacation starts in June or mid-June till July. So I was in a little process of looking up
Mhm.
flights, and then COVID, it just kept getting worse. And then our borders got closed, and our borders literally just opened like this week, October 1st. Yeah, it's been a week now. Yeah,
Wow.
our borders had been closed from March until October. So like it was a gamble. If I
Wow.
had wanted to leave for summer vacation, like usually I get 2 months, so I would have from like June to August. There was no guarantee I was going to be able to get back into
Mhm.
the country, and the border was closed, so I would not have been able to get back into
Exactly.
the country before I had to go back to work.
Yeah.
So I went with my gut and I said it's not going to happen. Then COVID, so it was just like not only were the borders closed, but it was too much of a risk traveling across the globe.
Yes.
I didn't want to risk getting myself
Yeah.
sick, infecting someone else. So I was like, I'm gonna just stay home, this summer. That wasn't the game
Yeah.
plan to stay in the
I mean,
desert.
that was a wise decision.
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad I did, but it was, I survived. But this was literally,
Yes.
in the 7 years of being in the desert, this is the first time I've spent an entire summer in Oman, and usually, I escape the summer heat. So I was like, "Oh, I'm in the thick
Yeah,
of it."
exactly.
Yeah, so that was fun.
I mean, it's absolutely amazing how this just, like, devastated
Mm,
everybody's plans. I mean,
yeah,
you're like going February, you're like da da da, March, the beginning of March, and then bam, all of a sudden,
yeah.
and people have to make choices. I have friends that are still stuck in Australia
Mm,
and they have no way of getting out, and it doesn't look like they're going to be getting out anytime soon. I mean, so like
yeah,
it's cost a lot as far as like
yes,
housing, definitely money wise, jobs. I mean, I keep reading stories all over the place about people who are stranded in, different parts of the world. So you made the right decision
yeah.
because you wouldn't have been able to come back.
That's so true. Exactly, exactly.
So do you feel like do you feel like, oh, you're like the wise woman who knew this before? Like you feel like you had a ball, like a,
Oh,
a
like a little
forecast
crystal
ball in your
ball. Yeah, yeah. It's like, "God, you know
yes,
better.
like
You
a
know
crystal ball,
better."
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yes and no, because it's like, it's been a crazy time. I would have never guessed that, I would be, unable to, like, I never.
Even with the crystal ball.
Exactly, right, exactly. I just never would have guessed that this was gonna happen, you know? But like I said, I'm grateful, I'm healthy, I'm good, so, hey. Went with my gut and, I listened to it, so I'm glad I
Exactly.
did. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, Nicole, tell me what is the cost of living like in Oman? Is it a very expensive place? Is it
Hmm.
like Dubai? Like, tell me how much it costs
That's a good question.
or
Well,
how little it costs.
yeah, it's definitely not as expensive as Dubai. I'm only
Oh, that's good to
I'm
know.
about a 5-hour drive from Dubai, like from the UAE. And it's
Huh.
crazy because it's like,
Ah.
culture wise, they're very similar. But I will say for me, it's different because I live in a smaller town in Oman. Like, Oman is it's only about 5 million people. Like, the capital is Muscat, and I'm about
Hmm.
an hour and a half
Hmm.
outside of Muscat. I live in Nizwa. So a good reason why it's not as expensive where I live is because, it's really the country, compared to like the big city. So if I lived in
Yeah,
Muscat,
yeah, yeah.
I definitely will be
Exactly.
spending more money if I lived in Muscat. I know the rent's a little more, transport, things of that nature. But for me, like, it's not very expensive. Like, let's say, for example, sitting here in my apartment right now, I have a 2 bedroom, 2 bath apartment. People get villas usually maybe two, three
Hmm.
bedrooms. In my place, I'm
Yeah.
spending now it's like 250 Omani Real, which is about like 700 US dollars for a nice two
Okay.
like
So
massive.
very reasonable.
Exactly. So it's not like some people in
Yeah.
comparisons. I've heard people say, "Oh, mine is expensive." I'm like, no. If you lived in a big city in the U.S., like I used to live in Chicago, and I'm from Detroit,
Yeah.
like, no, this is dirt cheap. I paid more than that for a studio when I was in Chicago. So yeah, you know,
Wow.
yeah, exactly. It's like,
I mean, so you were just like, I wouldn't even consider one bedroom. Show me two bedrooms and up. Thank
right,
you very much.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So
You get a bang for your buck. Why not?
exactly, that's
Oh,
it.
so and the food is also cheaper?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's definitely more affordable. I would say
So
that. I think so. In my opinion, I feel like it's an affordable place to live. Like, when you consider like, and then also you have to factor I'm a teacher, so my income is tax free
mhm,
here in the Middle East. So, I don't
mhm.
pay taxes. Yeah, I don't
Oh,
have
I
to.
didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I don't pay taxes. So it's like the thing about it is in comparison to like UAE, Saudi, like the other places in the region, I'm going to be frank with you. Like, as a
Uh-huh.
teacher, I don't make as much money in Oman compared to other parts of the desert. So in relation to like,
Hmm.
it's more expensive in Dubai, you make more money in Dubai. So for me, it's like, yeah, it's not as expensive as
Yeah,
Dubai, but it's like the quality of life here is what I enjoy. It's really laid back, and like Oman is very
that's great.
humble people. Like, they're some of the nicest, generous people like ever. So, it's like I take the good with
Oh,
the
that's
bad. Like,
fantastic.
I'm not making like a ton of money
Yeah.
compared to like other parts of the desert, but that's okay. I'm still living well. So yeah.
If you had to guesstimate at how much, it costs you to live for a month, what would that number be? Or even close to it?
Oh, that's a good question. Let me think. I just went grocery shopping today. Okay, let's say for example, today. This is perfect because I literally just went grocery shopping today, and I shop from week to week,
Yeah.
right? So
Cool.
I spent today. I spent 40 Omani. Yeah, on average per week, I just spent between 35 to 40 Omani Real, which is like $100,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
yeah, that's gonna last me at least for a week. So, let's say, for the month, I'm spending usually between 350 $400 on food.
Hmm.
If I'm not eating out, let's
Okay.
just say if I'm cooking every day. No, that's grocery. So
Hmm.
$400, I'll just say that. 700 on rent, that's 1100.
Hmm.
Transport, gas is dirt cheap. Like, I live across the street from my college, so I literally can just walk
Ah,
across the road. Exactly.
that's
So
convenient.
it's very convenient. I literally live like I can. There was an 8 o'clock class, I leave my apartment at 7:40, and I'm in my classroom by 7:50. Like, so it's so nice. So like, but let's just factor in taxis or gas or whatever. If you're driving or if you're taking taxis, I take taxis. But it's not expensive, especially where I live in Nizwa. It's super cheap because it's the Middle
Mm,
East. Gas is not expensive. So
mm,
I
of
mean, that's
course.
11. Let's say I would say about 12 to $1,300 a month. You can live off
That's
of.
great. I mean, for somebody
Yeah.
listening to this thinking, "Oh my God,
Mhm.
it's super expensive. You're out there." But to hear
Yeah.
1,300 a month, I mean, that's
Mhm.
insane.
Yeah, when I think
And
about it, I
so many
literally just
people,
did the math. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm,
So many people are afraid to like take the leap because they just think it's going to be so expensive. And
mhm.
what's the healthcare like? Do you have to pay healthcare? Does that come with your job?
Oh yeah, that's included. Like for me as an educator, my literally I just picked up my new insurance card yesterday. Like they gave us this a yearly card, so insurance is covered, and it's like I don't pay like like my agency literally takes care of my insurance. Like if I go to the doctor, let's say it's so funny because I looked at my memories a year ago. I had to go to the doctor and I was having some
Mhm.
issues like I have like sciatica or whatever. It's like in my leg,
Yeah.
so I had to like
Oh, I
see
remember that.
like
Uh-huh.
yeah, I had to see 2 different physicians. I remember, like, literally popped up my memory today, and I was like, "I spent $10 to see 2 different doctors that, last year." You know what I mean? Like a
So
specialist or
so
like a
it's just
GP.
like the US then. So it's
It right, right, it's just
so
I got
it's
an
just like
X-ray.
back in Chicago then, right?
That part. Yeah, so don't get me started. So, yeah, my coverage is pretty good, I will say. I'm grateful for that. Yeah,
Wow,
so
that's fantastic. I mean,
mhm,
so it's
mhm,
like, what else do you need? You've got a low cost of living, you've got great
mhm.
healthcare, it's a great part of the world, and it's
Yeah.
peaceful.
Yes.
Because people hear, "Oh my God, the Middle East, oh,
Yeah.
Oman, oh, Africa," and it's like I don't know if it's just visions of like the movies that they see. It's like, oh, somebody's
Mhm.
coming at you with a dagger, and it's, everything is
Right.
dangerous, and I'm like, it's dangerous in the
Mm.
U.S. too, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the
Uh,
funny part. I'm so glad you say that because that's one of the myths that I love being able to dispel, like living here and sharing about my experience. Like I'm a single woman living in the Middle East. People are like, oh my goodness, it's the
exactly.
same. I'm like, well, actually, Oman is one of the safest countries in the world for single women.
There
Like,
you go.
I mean, it's a Muslim
Yeah,
country and it's like it's they are so respectful. You know what I mean?
yep,
Like, people
exactly.
see me,
Yeah.
they're like, hello, sister. Like, how can I, you know what I mean? Like, literally, let me just give you this perfect example. I saw an article a couple months ago. I follow the news here, and
Hmm.
like there was someone who was like on the side of the road, needed help with their car. The police officer stopped to change the person's tire. Like that's the type of country I live in, where the police officers are like,
That's
I don't have,
amazing.
you know what I mean? Like that's the type of people that live here. Like I haven't had any issues when it comes to like people literally you can sleep with your. I mean, I don't do it because I'm from Detroit, but you can literally sleep with your
Yeah.
like your front door unlocked, leave your key in it, and like and nobody would disturb you. Like they're very like when it comes, as Muslims, they're like no, the Quran, like that's
Yeah, you
they
don't want your
Haram.
hand cut off. You know?
That part, that too, yeah, right,
Yeah,
Sharia law.
because no,
Yeah,
because
you're not
I'm
gonna do
from
a crooked thing.
Nigeria. They have,
Yeah,
yeah. I
right?
mean, that would happen in most of the country. That's just the way it is. So yeah, there are
Exactly.
so many. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
great because you're not there. You didn't go there yesterday. You've been living there for years. So somebody who
Exactly.
hears that knows that it's
Yeah.
true. You know,
Hmm.
it's like sometimes you see people they've started something and it's just like, oh yeah, I just moved to Spain or Oman. Therefore, I know
Hmm.
everything about it after like half an hour there. You're like, I've been here 6 years, buddy. I can tell you that this is the way it is, you know? And
Exactly.
that's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't have any
Absolutely.
more testament to what's going on than that.
That's the truth. It's so true. Oh no, I did want to. I mean, because you mentioned being Nigerian, so I did have a little, tidbit, a point that I did want to throw in there. Being frank and honest with the listeners, it's like,
Mhm.
I am African American, right? So it's like I know that there is a level of like passport privilege when people hear my American
Mhm.
accent. So sometimes I do, it is safe, don't get me wrong, like they're very humble people, very
Oh,
nice.
yes.
But on the flip side, if anyone who's listening, like being an African person, I
Yeah.
hear, like you
Yeah.
said, I've been here long enough. I know that my experience may be
Yes.
different if I were not American, if I were, African. So, you
Yes.
do have to take it with a grain of salt, you know, but overall, it's a super safe country, so
That's very
yeah.
true what you say. And that's, I think all over
Mhm.
the world. I mean, in Spain, it's the same way. In
Yeah,
Malta, we saw the same thing. Everybody just goes about their own
yeah.
business. But yeah, it's true what you say. You
Mm,
have to kind of take it with a grain of salt and
mhm,
think what passport
mhm.
you have. So I'm glad
Yeah,
you brought that
yeah,
up.
absolutely.
Yeah. So
Mhm,
you've
mhm.
been designing
Yeah.
this expat life of yours, and it sounds
Yeah.
wonderful. Now, with the profession of teaching, do you still
Mhm.
not just have enough to live on? Do you still have enough to save too for the future, or, based on the salary?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing about it. Exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's all about, your goals and your perspective. Like I will be honest, I'm a traveler,
Yes.
so I've been to a lot of countries and sometimes, looking at, birthday passed a few months ago, I'm like, ooh, girl, you're not getting any younger. So you gotta do better. So that's been like really my mission. I was like, okay, I was like, you have to do better with this like whole retirement saving thing. So that's really been like a goal of mine. Starting in 2020, I was just like wrote down my goals, trying to do better with saving, investing, different things because I got big plans. But I definitely just from my time teaching abroad, like I know people who have paid off their entire student loans and still, put money down on houses. Like it's really, me traveling the
Yes.
world, trying to save here and there.
And
So it's
she
like it's really
travels.
like you can do it. It definitely can. It can be done. So yeah, I mean, that's what's like. COVID has almost been like a little. For me, it's like you have to sit down somewhere. So it's like okay, yeah, I hear you, universe. You're telling me to sit down and put my money in my stock.
Yeah.
So got it. So yeah, but yeah, it can
Oh,
definitely be
that's good.
done.
Now,
Definitely.
Nicole, just
Mhm.
remind everybody. I know I didn't mention in the beginning. What is your website so that anybody listening to this,
Mhm.
in addition to
Of course.
the post that I'm going to have on our conversation and the
Yeah.
show notes, can you tell us what your website is so they can check out all those travels of yours?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was mentioning I'm a travel blogger, and I also have an online, like a Facebook travel group by the same name. It's called I Love to Globetrot. So the spelling is unique because I do have a business partner. So there's two of us. So it's I and then
Just like you.
exactly. Then LUV. Love is like LUV, not LOVE. But love, I love LUV. The number two, and then Globetrot. So I love to
Okay,
globetrot.com is the blog, and then
that's
also the
great.
travel group. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a great group too. I mean, it's one of
Right.
the biggest ones ever. And it's like
Oh.
it's one of those groups that's really well run, because there's some groups where you just like, you look at it and you go, "Oh, I gotta get out of here," you know. But
Mhm.
I love hanging out in the group, and everybody has
Oh,
something to contribute, and it's fantastic. How long did it take you to come up with such
mm.
a to reach such incredible heights with that group?
It's crazy because now that I'm thinking about it, like we started, like I have, my business partner Renee. She's basically mentioned people being locked in Australia. She's in Australia and she hasn't been able to leave, and we're both like, like we usually try to go do a trip a year together, like a little meetup or whatever. It didn't happen this year, but
Yeah.
so we started I Love the Glow Tribe when me and her met in South Korea, like. In 2012, we were leaving. Like she left to go to Australia, and then I was coming to the Middle East. So we started our own travel group because we wanted to stay connected and we wanted to connect with other travelers. And that's literally how it came into fruition. So, yeah, now it's been 8 years when you say that. It's like 2012 until now. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, well, you did a great job. Most people would
Hey,
have given up by now, but you did a
yeah.
great job. And it's like that, and the anybody listening to this, you need to check out her blog and the Facebook group. It's just full of really nice, wonderful travelers,
Yeah.
and it's so inspiring because, and I see people making that comment all the time, like they
Mhm,
inspire others to travel, which is what it's all
mhm.
about. It's not
Absolutely.
just you traveling, you're sharing that experience with everybody else. It's a
Exactly.
really nice community. You should be
Thank
very
you.
proud.
I appreciate that. I really do because it's funny you say that because you're like it's big, and I'm like, well, actually, like we're decent, we're doing okay. We finally, well, we're
Uh,
over 10,000 members, but it's like I look at some of these groups, I'm just like they're 10 times our size. So it's like I'm happy that we're the size that we are because it is manageable.
yes,
Like it definitely could get out of hand.
yes,
But when I think about how long we've been, I was
yes,
like, wow, 8 years, like wow. So slow and like you said, slow and steady. But I do, like you said, it humbles me and it makes me so grateful whenever I see people like say those comments, like you're my favorite group, and because you guys, you share good
yeah,
information and people, like you said, it's really like a family, like a community. People want to help each other, so
exactly.
we fostered that. I think as
Yeah.
moderators and facilitating a group, we try to keep the spirit light. So yeah.
That's great. Now,
Oh,
let let's look past a COVID. Let's look past this COVID thing. And
mhm.
what do you think? I've been asking a few people this. What do you
Yeah.
think is going to happen? Like the future of travel?
Um,
Do you think we're ever going to get past this?
Ooh, that is a very good question. If my crystal ball serves me well,
Yeah,
I
and look, get it out. It worked a few years ago. Let's see if it works again.
right, right. I think it's going to be a process. I mean, think about like, say for example, like I hate to say, but like say, let's think about like after 9/11, right? Like I know this is a pandemic, so it's a different scenario, but it's like we had to
Mhm.
pause and things had to change. So I think like people, it's in our blood, like us globetrotters, people who love to travel, like we're going to do what we got
Yeah,
to do. Like I'm like if I got to get the vaccine, if what's going to happen? Like people are ready. We're kind of jumping at the bit. So I think the process, like maybe moving forward, say for example, if I want to go to
yeah,
Zanzibar, I want to go to different places, I got to have my yellow fever card, right? Maybe I have to have my COVID
yeah.
19 card. Like, so I think it's just going to be like news stipulations when it comes to like going to different countries. It's going to be a
Uh,
country by country basis. But tourism is one of the biggest markets like in the world. So it's like we need to
yeah,
get back out there because like people are closing up shop left and
exactly.
right. So I don't foresee
Yeah,
like it not coming back. It's going to take some time. And there's going to probably be new things
yeah,
implemented, but it's coming back.
yeah.
Inshallah, we say here in
I hope
the
so.
desert. Yeah.
I mean, my thing
Yeah.
is like, okay, a lot of people have lost their jobs. Now,
Mhm.
if you get a it's the first thing you're thinking of going away. I don't know. I think like you, it's going to come back, but I wonder if it's going to come back just as strongly as it was. I think,
Mm,
sure, if the bank said away
yeah.
money like they did,
Yeah.
where anybody could get a credit card, where you could,
Hmm.
the easy money is going to flow and,
Hmm.
people will start doing it and taking advantage of it. I think that would definitely happen.
Yeah,
But I
absolutely.
don't know if, yeah,
Oh yeah,
because
it's
I
gonna
know some
take
of the
some
countries
time.
that
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
can't wait for it to get back to some sense of like
Um,
normal because this new normal is just really sucky when you think about it.
yes, that's not it.
Like you say, you're chomping at the bits and you want to get going. It's like where
Yeah,
you're like a horse
exactly.
that's been held like at the stables, like
Right?
just
Exactly. It's
kicking and
gonna
going. I gotta
right.
go.
I know. I'm like, please, Lord, let this vaccine, by next summer. I was like, ooh, I'm not gonna be like you said, not gonna be able to hold me back. I was I'm gonna be going somewhere. It's like
Like, give me
I
that cat. No, okay. Nicole, tell me, what would be the first country you would travel to once you can
oh
travel?
my word, that's a good question. Ah. Thinking about it, like, I guess it's gonna depend on when it happens because, like, say, for example, if it's not until next summer, like, as a teacher, I get my summer vacations, right? So I definitely
Yeah.
want to travel somewhere prior to going home to the States. Like, usually the way I do it is I'll go somewhere for a couple weeks, somewhere in Africa or
Hmm.
somewhere in Europe. I'll stop over and then I'll do a connecting flight back to the States. So I know, like, not after not going home this summer, definitely the majority of my summers going to probably be in the States, but I'm going to be
Yeah.
chomping at the bit to get somewhere. So, like, ideally, like, I have been trying to get to Mozambique for the past 2 years. Like, this summer, I thought
Oh,
I was gonna go for my
uh-huh.
birthday, like, that was the goal, was, like, to
Yeah.
go to Mozambique, and then from there, go home, so hopefully next summer, I'm able to pull that off. That would be the goal, like, stop in
That would be
Mozambique.
nice, right?
Yeah, exactly. I need to see someone's beautiful beaches and eat some delicious food. So, yeah,
And
that that
just
that's
and just relax, right?
yeah, exactly. Because it's about to be hectic. This virtual
That
classes and
that
teaching.
sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
I know. After the disruption of this year where you just wanted to go away. I mean,
Mhm,
my prayer for 2021 is that
mhm.
we can all get back to some normalcy and be
Yeah,
able to travel a bit. Maybe, see some of the places that were so crowded that you didn't get a chance to see,
exactly.
maybe before everybody else discovers them. But,
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm, I was
it's
funny
going to
'cause I'm
happen.
sitting here in my living room looking at my vision board, like it's in front of me. It's like 2020. I have on there and like travel and partnership, and I have like a little photo of some elephants and
Yeah.
there's some beaches. It's like Mozambique, and I'm like, yeah, didn't make it in 2020. I'm gonna have to rename this vision board 2021.
Exactly. Or just change the zero to a one.
You've already seen you in my mind because I literally it's like I'm scratching out that zero.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm
Yeah,
like, you use your teacher's chalk and just change it.
exactly. That's gonna be the goal. Ah, yeah.
It's been so nice talking to you again, Nicole. I mean, I can't thank you enough for coming on here again. It's been nice catching up with you. For
Same.
anybody listening to the podcast, I'm going to have the blog post up, which I'll give you all the handles you can use to get in touch with Nicole if you want to. So you
Mhm.
can check out her blog page for inspiration, and you can also check out the Facebook group and stalk her. She doesn't mind that at all.
I don't mind it. Don't mind it.
Right?
Don't do it from
Yeah,
afar.
socially, stalk her socially.
Exactly.
Don't
Like,
start
don't do it
stalking her. Just she's
that
very
part.
beautiful, so don't start stalking her like off the.
Yeah, I was like, long as it's from afar on social channels. Yeah, stalk away on
Yeah,
Instagram.
exactly. Thank you. It's it's been wonderful. Nicole, thank you so much. And everybody listening to this, thank you for joining me on this episode. And I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks
Bye.
again. Bye.
Bye.